Live streaming is on.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is February the 28th, 2020. Strong hand. That's important for this week, wasn't it? Long-term thinking. Yeah, that's important too. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Offended by selling. Compete, don't complain. Hey, be a unique beast. Okay, it's time. Oh, you panic-stricken weak hand people not watching this show. Oh, yeah. Only the strong hands are here. Only the strong hands survive. We've got Phil is back here from Unchained Capital. We have got two new guests here. We got Brady in the house. Oh, yeah. Brady Swenson is here from Citizen Bitcoin. And Ugly Old Goat, the legend, is here. I met him in person in Las Vegas this weekend. Yes, that's what he really looks like in person, what you're seeing right there. So let's jump right into the macro news, the world news. The world is up in arms. Financial markets are panicking because there's some virus out there, and all the markets are going down, and even the Bitcoin price went down. We have a tweet from a guy, Corey Clipson. He says, Clipston. So you're going to comment on this too, okay? Bitcoin price action should not surprise anyone. I've said multiple times, and I'm not the only one, that Bitcoin will go down if there's a market correction or crash at first. Then it will decouple as more and more people recognize it's fundamentally uncorrelated, and then it will rocket to the moon. So, Brady, what do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about the world situation, panicking over a virus?
Well, Corey Clipson's a really, really smart dude. He also happens to be CEO, founder of Swan Bitcoin, which we'll get into later. But yeah, he's totally right. He's absolutely right. We've got to expect, we're all strong hands here. We expect this volatility. And I didn't even realize what was happening in the markets because I've got Bitcoin wealth insurance, right? It doesn't bother me. I can sleep well at night, being, away from or separate from this traditional financial system. It doesn't bother me. Is it something to do with the virus? I don't know. I haven't really read much about that either. I've just been working on Bitcoin, trying to launch this product for like the last 6 weeks straight. So I'm in that world right now.
Dude, that was awesome. I don't check the price either, man. Now, of course, I probably check it. You're very busy with your project. We'll get into that project in a second. But dudes, everyone watching this show, pound that like button. That is the right attitude to take right there. Look how happy he is. He's not stressed at all. All right, Phil, you take it away. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, all of us here that are watching this show, we know that Bitcoin is the best savings technology that we've ever seen. Unfortunately, a lot of our friends with weaker hands, they still think that it's a day tradable, some sort of investment. So I think to Corey's point, the market today is treating it very similar to maybe some other investments, but they run really quickly into those hodlers and buyers of last resort. And I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty excited to pick up some cheap sats yesterday when I saw that the value of Bitcoin or the value of US dollar pumped measured in Bitcoin. Makes no sense to me that US dollars pumping today. So I just saw that as an opportunity to stack some cheap sats.
Do you think this is just people are blindly following the bigger trends that, the stock market's going down, so let me sell everything? Is it related to the virus, do you think?
Like I said, I think that there's certainly a portion of it that is related to those day traders like buying and selling, and really what's interesting about this is that the mainstream is getting a taste of what the fragility of stonks as well as the virus going around and the exponential growth of this virus. I'm speaking, of course, about Bitcoin.
Dude, I love this take. We got some positive guys here. So, Ugly, obviously you're not freaking out because you're dressed up like a goat and you're partying. You're partying still from Vegas. We were having a great time this weekend. But what is your take on the situation?
Well, my whole thing is your dollar cost average. I believe in the Bitcoin standard. It is going to be the new money. Everything's going to be priced in Bitcoin. So that's the bottom line. Now, I am a trader. I trade. In fact, I haven't bought Bitcoin, I don't think, for 2 or 3 years because I just trade it and I make my Bitcoin that way. So I do think it's tradable, but you have to know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you just dollar cost average and once you have that hodl, then you can use a small amount to trade it. But I'm encouraged. I like this down market, and I don't think it's really so much on the stock market or what's going on, in the world. I really think that what we're seeing is the washout. I think that we're seeing what I call the exit. And to say the exit, you have to say it with a lisp and a loose wrist. Okay, it's exit. It's kind of a meme from my good friend Vitalik Buterin, who calls a number of people a Bitcoin maximalist, and I'm not a maximalist. I'm a Bitcoin standard bearer. So basically, I think what we're going to do, we're going to see this Bitcoin really emerge as these altcoins just kind of go down to their intrinsic value. And I think that's a big factor. In fact, you notice this altcoin season, how short it was this time. It never, none of them reached a new high or even came close. They just kind of went yip and down. I think that's the motivate. I think that's the only reason Bitcoin's going down now is because the alts they're in big trouble.
Hey, you don't have any thought. You come from a trading back again. Guys, if you're going to be a trader, you obviously have to be wearing a goat mask and stuff. So everyone knows that I do not recommend that. You got to be a freak like this dude right there, okay? And he has a lot of experience in finance, okay? So again, I don't recommend anyone to follow the path of a dude dressed up like a goat. That is like clearly obvious. And he says the same thing. But in your experience with traditional markets, you've lived through other panics and stuff. So you don't think this is bleeding into the Bitcoin here?
It might be, but I don't think that's the underlying thing. I really don't think that. I think
So wait. No, wait. Since you are a trader, and again, you got to be a goat to be a trader. Your strategy is not affected by this virus at all. You don't give a darn.
No, in fact, I never make any predictions because I trade. I don't know where the market's going, and people don't understand this. I trade accordingly. The reason I think I'm a successful trader is I know I don't know, and that's what I teach. Yeah, I know I don't know, and I trade accordingly, which is completely opposite of everybody else. Everybody else makes predictions and know where it's going.
Well, there is a certain. I mean, this is a kind of a beyond Bitcoin type of topic, but I want to bring it up. If a man with true experience can admit he knows when you don't know, you don't know. That takes all the young guys out there. No one's gonna say that. No one's gonna say. So you can learn a lot from this dude right here. I like that. I like that you said that line because I've heard other philosopher types bring that up, and it takes a lot of experience to be able to say. All right, so.
My whole emphasis isn't even on trading. To me, the last thing you look at is the chart. Okay, the only thing you look at is your own equity. The key to successful trading is money management. So you have to have a hodl first, and then if you want to trade, you only trade a very small percent of that hodl. And if you follow money management, you can't. You really can't lose. It's not hard, but most people have the thinking backwards. They want to know where the market's going, where do I buy, where do I sell, and I don't have a clue.
Now, this is a good segue because you said you got to have a hodl at first, and clearly that's all I need. It's my bank, it's my savings account. So Brady, I read this week. And I had it on a show earlier this week because people ask me about this all the time. What's an easier way to get Bitcoin than getting it at Coinbase? I don't want to deal with Coinbase. I'm an American. I don't want to deal with Coinbase. Well, lo and behold, I'm hearing in March, which is in 2 days now. March is in 2 days, amazingly enough, that we got this thing called Swan that's coming out. So Brady, you are an education man. You got a podcast. It's linked to below. But you also work for these dudes. You're the marketing dude. So I love marketers. Take it away.
Yeah, actually, my title is head of education, and I love the fact that our marketing is education. So that's like, we're absolutely dedicated to educating. We have two things, really simple plan. We have the easiest way to dollar cost average, easiest way to do automatic buys, set them up. It's super simple. Wow. Set it and forget it, automatically draw from your fiat bank account right to the blockchain. We also are setting up auto withdrawals. So we encourage you to hold your own keys, to be a self-sovereign Bitcoin citizen. When you get to a certain amount of Bitcoin, auto withdraw to your wallet. That's all set up. You set it and forget it. You have, set up your buy, set up your withdrawal, done. You don't have to worry about anything. Automatic stacking. And like I said, we're focused on education. So we're going to provide this service, auto stacking service, and we're going to educate Bitcoiners. So my job is going to be host AMAs, do more podcasts, write a bunch of stuff about the basics in Bitcoin. We're writing a book in collaboration with some of the biggest Bitcoin names in Bitcoin: Seyfedina Moose, Stefan Livera, Matt Odell, about 10 others. Guy Swan's in there. So yeah, we've got an incredible team that Corey Clipson has put together. The dude is an amazing networker. I've never seen anybody like him before.
Let's get Corey on this show here. Get Corey on the show. Remind me about it. He seemed like that was a great tweet. But continue. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we'll definitely get Corey on the show. That's basically it. That's the pitch. That's what we're doing at Swan, and we're gonna launch. We're gonna launch in a couple of weeks. We'll be out in the wild when Bitcoin 2020 rolls around. So we'll be there at the conference. We'll have a booth. Come say hi. Come ask me questions. We'll get you set up on the app.
All right. So you're gonna be at the conference. Why don't we plug the conference right now? I'm gonna be there too. Are you, Phil? Are you gonna be at the 2020 conference in San Francisco?
I'll unfortunately be mountain biking that weekend, but we're going to have a bunch of people from the Unchained Capital team at Bitcoin 2020.
I want to go back to the product here, Brady. Are you familiar with the Amber app out of Australia?
Absolutely, yeah.
So is this like? Is this similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely similar. Yeah. I mean, Amber's doing basically the same thing. They're doing an auto stacking platform. I know Alex Svetsky, the founder CEO there, obviously dedicated to education. He does a lot on that front. So yeah, I mean, I look at Amber as a wingman of Swan, if you will.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, because there were a lot of Americans when we had Alex on the show. I can't get Amber in America. Well, I guess now you can. Pound that like button. There's something like it. So great. I'm glad that innovation is coming over here, and we need more competitors. The Coinbase, these people are always
right. You mentioned that.
You got me excited, and this is the first I've heard about it. But you definitely are meeting a market need. So, give me a link. I want to get KYC'd and AML'd so I can get on. I'll start buying Bitcoin again. In fact, we're thinking about going. I did a lot of arbitrage for a while, and I might go back. I've got some people working with me now that kind of want to learn from me. So at any rate, I did a lot of business with Coinbase until they kicked me out. I got some good Coinbase stories, and I'm even going to be filing a little lawsuit against them in small claims court. I can't talk about the one I settled them with, but I can talk about some other things they've done. And
this is these people have the same frustrations that you do, Ugly, definitely. And we're not going to. Well, actually, you just piqued my curiosity a little bit with something you just said. You won a case. You won a settlement with them. You won.
Well, I settled with them, but I can't talk about that.
Okay. That's
very. So but I can't talk about another one. Where
I don't want to get into the legal mumbo job, but I just.
No, this is a happy occasion. I want to hear about this new exchange.
Yeah, exactly. I want to hear about the new stuff. But
before we stop talking about Coinbase. I mean, we see Coinbase as definitely a main competitor. We're going after them. We're going to have lower fees. Obviously, we are unapologetically Bitcoin only. And that's a big differentiator for us. There's 40 or 50 altcoins on Coinbase that you just get distracted from. We want Bitcoiners to be confident that you can send your friends and family to Swan and swanbitcoin.com, early access. We're at Swan Bitcoin on Twitter. Yeah, just come find us, come ask us questions, and get on the app.
It's linked to. I linked to it below. I linked to you below. So if you click on Brady, you're going to be able to find it. But I'll add. Yeah. Remind me to add the Swan link if it's not
I'm going to actually write that down right there. Okay, Phil, you haven't said anything about this. You know about all this. What do you think about Swan? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think Swan has a great team. I know the founders personally, and I think that they are on the right track. I mean, the U.S. just really, really needs an easy way to dollar cost average just Bitcoin, right? None of those crypto coins, whatever crypto even is.
No bait switch.
Yeah, and we're, here at Unchained Capital, we do Bitcoin native financial services, and we've already been seeing kind of an influx of former Coinbase unhappy customers joining up with this new way to manage their Bitcoin. So yeah, I feel like Coinbase is sort of a generation 2 Bitcoin company. You have Gen 1, which is like your Mt. Gox, people wearing sweatpants and horrible explosion. Gen 2 is the Coinbase. It's the like regulated crypto companies that have the traditional account structure. And Gen 3 is just Bitcoin only, stacking sats, and then giving clients control of private keys with their Bitcoin native financial services. So, we're going to leave Gen 2 in the dust. And I see things like Coinbase proudly proclaiming that they have over 1 million Bitcoin in cold storage. And that kind of gives me nightmares. It's like, man,
Wow.
that is a huge target.
Wait a second.
Phil,
I want to ask Phil. Wait, hang on a second, Ugly. Phil, do you believe that number? I thought that was a huge number myself, and it is unbelievable that people have let them control that much Bitcoin. Do you think they really have 1 million?
I believe that number, especially with the acquisition of Zappo. But what gives me hope for Bitcoiners in general is that based on some numbers that we've recently ran, it seems like over 11.5 million Bitcoin are in the hands of private key ownership in cold storage. So still a majority of Bitcoin is held primarily by individuals and not on exchanges. But yeah, we gotta get that number down even lower. We need to put private keys in the hands of Bitcoiners.
All right, Ugly, I'll go. You're about to say something.
Yeah, I just have a question. Are you guys incorporating Lightning Network on your platform, or is that on the agenda later, or where you guys, just where do you stand on that? I mean, I think Adam Meister and I we're just a little bit skeptical about it, but I kind of had a new revelation about Lightning Network. I'm going to write a Medium article about it, but I just wondered where you guys are at.
You're asking me?
Yeah, asking it's for Brady.
Well, yeah, we should both answer it though, Phil.
Sure.
I love the Lightning Network. I'm really impressed by the devs who are building amazing stuff on the Lightning Network. But no, we don't have any plans to work with Lightning Network. We're focused on helping people build their HODL stack, right? And Lightning is really meant for payments, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, down the road, I think Lightning will be really important. I think it's really important to build it out now and play with it. But right now, we're just focused on stacking sets.
All right, Phil, your comments on overall Lightning Network.
Yeah, most of the Unchained Capital boys love the Lightning Network, myself included. Like, I played with Phoenix Wallet, and I was blown away by how beautiful and seamless the payment technology is. But unfortunately, our current trajectory is to prevent friends from selling Bitcoin. Friends don't let friends sell Bitcoin. So for today, what we're focused on is helping those long-term hodlers protect their stash. We definitely do want to look at Lightning Network and get that set up as soon as we're able to. But we have some higher priorities for right this moment, which is helping people to protect their Bitcoin long term and then access liquidity should they need some liquidity without having to sell it.
All right.
You guys do realize that when gold evolved as the gold standard, gold disappeared as cash. It was not used as cash. It was only used as settlement. You could use it as cash, but nobody did.
Yeah.
All right. Let's on this. We're on a subject matter here that really leads into something that came out this week. I want to hear everyone's thoughts on this quote. Everybody should have 1% of their assets in Bitcoin specifically. When you see the amount of leverage the financial industry is running, and there is a lot of risk to the downside. Now, an average individual citizen of every country in the world has an uncorrelated hedge. That was from Chamath. And hey, man, I think that's a really simple strategy there. Everyone should have 1% of their assets in Bitcoin. I have more, obviously. What do you think about that, ugly old goat? That allocation of assets?
I think that's far too small. I recommend I recommend a minimum of 5%, and really, I think prudence. 15%. Anything over that, okay, you're taking a speculative. I used to be 100% or more. The first Bitcoin I bought was on Coinbase, and it was ACH, and I had overdraw protection. So I was, and the only reason I was able to buy it is I had check protection. So, but now, even now, I keep about 40% of my assets in Bitcoin, and I'm comfortable with that. But you don't. I wouldn't bet the farm which I once did, but I have. I would recommend. You're silly if you don't have 5% in Bitcoin, because the underlying fundamental Bitcoin is not Bitcoin at all. The underlying fundamental in Bitcoin is that we've had this fiat inflation. Fiat money created ex nihilo for now 3 generations, which has been almost 120 years, and that's the big gorilla in the room. It's not even Bitcoin. Bitcoin is simply the answer to that. That we were so fortunate. It would not have even been developed had we not had this problem for the last 3 generations. So that's the underlying fundamental. And you guys. I mean, I'm an old guy. I won't be around to witness this thing, but you guys are going to be the Bitcoin standard bearers that are going to carry the world through this monetary transition. And it's not going to be easy. And you're going to get a lot of opposition. And you know what? In the end, they might be able to seize us personally, but they can't seize our wealth. And in the end, I think what's going to come down to Bitcoiners, we're going to have to watch each other's backs. And my mentor is E.C. Harwood, and he commissioned me to mint gold and silver coins that read, "For integrity there is no substitute." And so I believe in Bitcoin, but I also believe that our own personal integrity is very much a part of this. I think that you guys will not only be setting the fashion, but you're going to be setting the new morality in the coming generation. And so you've got a huge responsibility. And so, guys, carry that torch. I'm in your corner, and will do all I can to promote you, so long as you're true to sound money.
Pound that like button. Nice one there. I want to you give an overall a big picture there, but for the people who freak out about viruses and stuff out there, those people, the way they manage their funds, they don't think Bitcoin's a really clean, safe type of thing. They're scared off by it. So this is why the 1% comes up. This is why the 1% number is brought up by that dude, because it just shows people, like, just try a little gamble. It's not a gamble. To me, it's not a gamble. Just try a little bit, because that 1% can easily turn into 10% of your portfolio. So, Phil, what do you think about the 1% number there and that recommendation, where it was coming from?
I think it's extremely risky to not own any Bitcoin. I'm serious, man. Like with what's going on around the world, with the people who we have in charge, with the central bankers getting all negative with their interest rates. I mean, you have to be, at this point, just such a diehard fiat default Keynesian, to steal Brady's term, to not have any Bitcoin right now. Like 1%, like basically get off zero, right? I always just tell people, like, everyone's heard, almost everybody has heard about Bitcoin at this point. Still, most people don't have any. I had a conversation with a friend a couple weeks ago, and the advice I gave her was, hey, take an amount of money that you're comfortable just, kissing goodbye to or saying goodbye to, and put it into Bitcoin and see what happens. And for each person, that number is different. But you just got to get off zero at this point. Earn it if you have to. Use Fold, use Lolly, stack sats with Swan or with Cash App or Amber or whatever, but get some.
All right,
No
Brady.
doubt.
Actually, there's a question from the audience, and you could talk about the 1% number, but I want you to address this question too. This is from 123 No Scope. Question for the panel: do you think the allocation of Bitcoin should be higher for younger generations? I'm 24. I'm 95% Bitcoin and living
Nice.
comfortably. Yes, so that's for you, Brady.
Yeah, man. The younger you are, I think, the longer you can hold and, have a good, meaningful amount of life left. We're also, living a lot longer. So, even if you're like ugly old goat down there, like ugly, don't give up, man. You're going to live for a long time. We got the, we got
every reason to live for, but the reality, I mean, I'm not afraid and I'm ready to go. So I'm not worried about that either. But no, Bitcoin has given me a whole purpose in life. It really has. It's like
absolutely.
the whole life was, I did 11 years in prison, and I did the shitcoin thing, and I get it what these guys are doing. I did the same thing, but I don't learn the lesson I had to learn the hard way. That's what I'm trying to teach these guys. And we have to be careful on how we do market it, because I've actually written an article. Bitcoin is lousy cash and sex is a store of value, or sex is a store of value and is lousy cash, either way you do it. Now that sounds funny to you and me, but it's really not. It doesn't work as cash, and it won't if it becomes the standard. I've written about that thoroughly, but it's also really when you have repeated 80 to 90% crashes in the market, it's not a store of value in the way that we see things. But of course, we know that it is. One of the best traders I know in Bitcoin is my wife, the goat lady. And oh yeah, I was tweeted about. I'm actually showing on a chart. Back when Bitcoin was $20,000, it says ugly. I want one of these Raptors, this new Ford that comes out, so it cost her, we spent 7 Bitcoin. We got this big old Ford because she likes these big, powerful trucks. And she got tired of it after a year. And she bought that Raptor for 7 Bitcoin and sold it for 42 Bitcoin. Well, because she sold it a year later, and she bought it in December of 2017, and sold it in December of 2018. Basically, she bought it when Bitcoin was at 17,000, and she sold that old Raptor when Bitcoin was 3,500. Well, you can't do better than that. So, she knows how to trade. I'll call it buy Lambo here, sell Lambo here. You can trade Lambos.
That's actually that's a pretty amazing story there, that you actually came out ahead when buying a car. Be careful, people. Don't try that one at home. Those things lose value your wealth in Bitcoin. I want to go back to Brady real quick here, and the question that was asked about youth, because first of all, if you are just coming out of college, you have nothing anyway. So of course, if you buy a Bitcoin, more than 1% of your wealth is going to be in Bitcoin. I mean, it's pretty easy to do that. But comment on the 1% number. I mean, for everybody.
Yeah, man. I mean, 1% is the absolute minimum. Like, that's table stakes. You got to get in the game, and I think you need to, up that slowly but surely over time, right? Dollar cost average in, add a percent a year. See what happens. Make sure you're comfortable. Obviously, you don't want to get more than you're comfortable with. You don't want to be able to sleep at night. But I think the journey that we all go on is, we get in the game and we learn what's happening here. That's why education is so important. We learn what's happening here, and our conviction goes up, right? We see all of this evidence that like Bitcoin is on this very kind of obvious monetization path. The volatility is going down very clearly. It's becoming, it's going through the store value phase now. It's going to become a medium of exchange and a unit of account at some point. Like, that's inevitable. Maybe it'll be alongside the traditional financial system. I think it's going to suck the lifeblood out of the traditional financial system and become, the new standard, right? But yeah, if you're young, 95%, that sounds awesome, man. I love that conviction. I think you're right. I think that's smart. As you get older, maybe you diversify into some real estate and some other assets. But yeah, I mean, right now it makes sense to hold a lot of Bitcoin, as much as you can reasonably have without freaking out when the price drops 80%.
Okay.
So
I want to go to Phil real quick to see if you had any conclusionary thoughts on this topic matter, because that extra question was added in there about youth.
I think that the other guys have pretty well summed up how I feel about it. Like, definitely be stacking sats. I always just personally look at the US dollar that I put into Bitcoin, and I make sure that that amount is something that I'm comfortable with just losing entirely. But the result of that, and through a long time of hodling, is that, you know, now Bitcoin makes up a much higher percentage of my portfolio than what I put into it originally.
True.
So, and to Brady's point, though, like, you got to make sure that you can pay your bills and live your life without relying on Bitcoin number go up, because number go down sometimes.
Hell yeah.
So when number go down, that's when we buy more sats, but you got to have some other currencies around to be able to do that. And by other currencies, I'm referring exclusively to whatever your national currency is, because you don't want to be holding altcoins either.
Okay. Well, let's. I think
like, never sell your hodl, but I think it's prudent to sometimes vary that hodl. And I think the example is, for example, when Bitcoin ran up there to over 15,000 or 20,000, cash in a little, reward yourself, take your wife out to dinner, upgrade your laptop, you know, maybe buy a little newer car or something like that. And then I call that saving. I call it savvy. And then, like, hodl is a misfit of the word. I call it savvy. And then the third leg of this thing is you build it. But all these altcoins, you need to build on my shitcoin. No, build it means you need to start looking to have a business and an income stream in Bitcoin. And you know what, guys? That's what you're doing with this Coinbase. I'm so glad you're doing that. You're going to meet a huge market need, and I think you're going to be tremendously successful because you're coming out with something at exactly the right time. And just keep that Bitcoin standard alive, and you're going to do great.
Pound that like button. And yeah, he's right. Be in motion, compete, don't complain. These dudes, well, they're both involved with businesses that they built businesses around the needs, and there's so much in this space. There's going to be so many opportunities in this golden age of the 2020s to start these businesses. Now, speaking of a new business, I don't know if the panel even how much they know about this, because I forgot this story from the beginning of the week. It's a big story, though. I guess I'll start with Phil, because Phil seems to know everything. Avanti, excuse me. So, Avanti is a Wyoming corporation formed to apply for a bank charter under Wyoming's Special Purpose Depository Institution law. Plans to open doors in early 2021. This is Caitlin Long's bank, basically, in Wyoming. Phil, did you have any thoughts on that?
This seems like an extremely interesting and exciting business to follow, and it appears to be coming as a direct result of the Wyoming blockchain task force and all the regulations that they were put into place. So they're able to kind of spin up a special bank, and I'm not super familiar with the details, but it allows them to hold Bitcoin for clients and institutions, as well as kind of work in the federal banking system. So I'm going to be following them very closely. I noticed too, there's I think like halfway down the tweet thread, Caitlin mentioned that they're planning to offer multi-sig solutions to clients, and that's something that I'm personally really interested in. So I'm going to be following that very closely. And actually, Will Cole, our new chief product officer here at Unchained Capital, was a member of the Wyoming blockchain task force. So he was there helping to write those regulations to allow them to be able to do stuff like this in Wyoming. And I mean, as far as regulation goes in this country, Wyoming is certainly on the forefront, and we're going to see some interesting business opportunities and just things kind of grow out of that, I think. So definitely excited about it.
You're speaking about halfway down that tweet thread. Few people read the entire tweet thread. I mentioned it on a previous show, and some people spazzed out. They're actually going to be accepting altcoins there too at the bank. Yeah. You didn't read the whole? It's like number 23 on there. She said if people are willing to work with them, they're willing to work with people who want to. If people want them to store the altcoins, they're willing to do it if the technology is there. That's for another show, I guess. But Brady, did you have any? I mean, I love it that. All this Wyoming stuff to me was just all talk. It was kind of abstract. Now we're getting a real thing. We're going to get a real bank in 2021. So it's nice to have something you can touch out there. And Caitlin Long is amazing. Brady, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have a leader, and the way that laws, kind of develop in the United States and evolve is they start in the states and they get modeled and adapted and passed in other states, and then eventually, a lot of those laws will become, will definitely influence national laws, right? And I think one of the things that's really important is that we grow the number of Bitcoin-friendly politicians in this country, right? And I think the way that we do that is partly with businesses like Avanti Bank and the work that Caitlin Long and crew have done, and Will Cole, as Phil mentioned, have done in Wyoming is really important. It makes Bitcoin like legitimate in the eyes of this establishment. And I think that's important. There is risk there as well, though. I think that we need to be mindful that we need to have Bitcoiners are very mindful of this, right? So, but I just to throw it out there, like we need to have this kind of side alternative parallel economy, right? So if we can build out things like BISC and other ways to trade Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin and earn Bitcoin without KYCing, I think that's important too. Obviously we have to follow the law, and I think it's important to build trust with these institutions, with the traditional financial system, so that we can grow Bitcoin. But I think it's also important to keep working on the side on kind of the opt-out version of the Bitcoin economy.
You talk about getting politicians on the Bitcoin side, and we're talking about this Wyoming thing. She's been working with this guy named Tyler there. He's like a state representative on the state level, but it's so clear the dude is working with them. I think this is a good idea for young politicians to work with the Bitcoin crypto people, and it increases your that people know it brings you up a few levels, so you can run for a higher office. I mean, I'm sure the guy probably wants to run for Congress or something like that. So there are incentives out there for the go-getter politicians to get on the Bitcoin train, because this is the future. And I think that guy, I think it's Tyler or something or other, has been helping get these things passed over there. So Goat, Ugly Goat, you are a guy who's familiar with the law. Did you have any thoughts with this Wyoming, or just?
It's going to be a state chartered bank. So I don't. When you use the term, it's going to be a real bank. I don't think it's going to be real. It's going to be state chartered. It's going to come with all the garbage that goes along with that, no matter. And the very fact that they have to legislate all this stuff kind of makes that evident. So, I mean, it's interesting, but I have my fingers crossed. I don't think that that's going to be the cutting edge. The cutting edge is probably going to be something that can't be touched by any state and will have no borders. But I think within localities, for example, I think one thing that Bitcoin will be doing is put a lot of pressure for national governments to at least have regional sound money. That's why I do think that the gold standard is probably going to emerge in this next generation, because it's going to be Bitcoin and the Bitcoin standard that's going to force the issue.
One thing about the cutting edge, and I think Brady said this, that this is not BISC is the cutting edge. I think people would agree with that. That's a change the world type of stuff. The Wyoming, though, is to get the mainstream. It's going to bring mainstream money in. It's going to bring big money in. I mean, we got to look at both sides of the pictures here. Some people want
big money doesn't make the big changes. Big money didn't start Microsoft or Apple. It's going to be the innovators outside of the establishment, I think, that are going to do this. And so, I mean, I could be absolutely wrong. I hope you guys are. I hope you're right on this, but I have deep reservations.
Well, let's talk about the innovators right now, because Jack Dorsey again with Square got some good news. Jack Dorsey's tweeting about Bitcoin. Everybody's happy. Hey, I like that vibe. Phil, what do you think about Jack Dorsey? Is Jack Dorsey on too much of a pedestal here in the Bitcoin ecosystem, or is this really serious?
If there's one thing we've learned in the past couple of weeks, it's that your your pedestal is very, very fragile, right? So if you, I don't know, say hand out crumpled pieces of paper at a conference, like you're gonna be toppled pretty quickly. So Jack, I think people rally around Jack because he seems like a savvy person who understands Bitcoin. He's taking really the Cash App team is taking a very cautious and I think really savvy approach to Bitcoin, right? It's it goes piece by piece. First, it allowed you to buy Bitcoin. Now it allows you to like buy, sell, and withdraw and send and everything. It looks like they're also focusing on dollar cost averaging. And they've put up some pretty big numbers over the past few quarters. They're seeing rapid adoption, and I think that's great. What I really want is easy ways for Americans and really people around the world to be getting Bitcoin, and I think that they're doing great.
Amen.
All right, before we go back to Brady here, I want to get a GOAT. What is your greatest of all time? Do you have thoughts on Jack Dorsey? I want to hear it from a veteran's perspective here, if you even care about Jack Dorsey at all.
Yeah, I really don't know that much about it. So, I really not. I mean, I used Twitter, and I found it a great deal of fun. But I haven't used Square. I haven't used his service, so I'm not familiar with it. And I think all of the stuff kind of is hybrids, and I get it because that's where most people feel safest. But I don't think that the innovation is going to come from a safe spot.
Brady, your take on, is Jack Dorsey on too much of a pedestal here? Are you impressed by Square? Is he going to save the whole world? Or is he going to become an Ethereum fan tomorrow? What's going to happen? All right.
Oh no, he's not going to become an Ethereum fan. I'm pretty confident about that. However, Phil said, what we saw the past couple of weeks, some of our biggest, Bitcoin only, Bitcoin maximalist hodlers of last resort, heroes have, fallen prey to altcoinery. So yeah, I love Jack Dorsey. I think he's a great champion for Bitcoin. It's amazing that we have someone who's, CEO of two massive companies. One, it's like the communications platform in the world. The one that is, basically the Bitcoin is, debated on. This is where we kind of figure things out. It's the platform that, the SegWit 2x, battle was fought, and it's very important. And then Square, of course, is a growing, payment system, and it's amazing to have him out there. I do think, of course, if something happens and Jack starts, DeFiing or something like that, then yeah, we're gonna take him down. So
All right. That's again. There's no king of Bitcoin, so that's what you're saying.
Bitcoin is such a grassroots effort, right? And ugly, to your point, all of the innovation is happening at the bottom level, and it's not going to be coming from those large institutions or likely any sort of public company, but the fact that companies like Square are sponsoring open source development, that's a good sign in my opinion. And the fact that we have those regulators in Wyoming trying to be trying to put together the right regulatory framework, that's good. It's just more attention surrounding the vortex that is Bitcoin, the black hole, right? We want it. And we know already that there are plenty of people in politics as well as CEOs of top companies that are Bitcoiners. So we've got a lot of ammo on our side.
Hey, let me share my vision with you, because I think I can give you a really because I'm pretty sure I'm right on this in all of my analysis. Bitcoin's not. You're not going to be banking the unbanked. Okay, the next major move in Bitcoin is going to be the longest duration and the largest magnitude move. That move is not going to come. And I don't even think it's going to come from maybe your vision of consumers. I think where it's going to come from is from the have-not entrepreneurs in this world, and there's a lot of them. I'm a have Bitcoin entrepreneur, and I think that the next move is going to be this transition where all these have-not entrepreneurs are going to start seeing the vision and saying, yes, I need to start putting a small part, start at 5 or 15% of my business on the Bitcoin standard. And that's where I think your market's going to be, is going to be the business B2B and really not so much the consumer. I might be wrong on that, but
I think I actually wrote about this like a year and a half ago, but this adoption wave, this HODL wave that we're seeing form right now, I think it's coming from a swap in incentives. Like for the first like 5 years of Bitcoin or whatever, people were trying to figure out, how do I spend this thing? What are good ways to, get merchant adoption? People realized that was the wrong approach. And during this wave, what we're seeing is those incentives switch, right? People are understanding that their clients want to earn or buy Bitcoin. And they're we're seeing companies add unique ways to give customers the opportunity to earn and buy Bitcoin. Like, I think about Strike and Escher app, which are coming out relatively soon. They've got the incentives just right. The merchant gets to receive Bitcoin because they want to earn Bitcoin. The payer gets to spend their fiat because they don't want to spend their Bitcoin. Like, perfectly aligned incentives there. And then at the same time, the spender is also stacking sats as a reward for working with that merchant. Like, that's beautiful right there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Now I just lost my train of thought. Brady, what were we talking about? It was your turn to talk about this. How did this subject matter? I lost track of what we were even talking about there for a second. What were we talking about?
Well,
it was ugly. You took me down a road. Talking about the entrepreneurs there. And it actually made me think: Are they long-term thinking enough to know, hey, I want to get some Bitcoin now to protect myself, or are they short-term thinking enough, saying, hey, there's Ethereum out there, why don't I just start an ICO to fund my business or something like that? That's what I actually that's the path that my brain went down there. But I want to
as Bitcoin entrepreneurs, it's really our duty to educate people, why Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone is sound money. And so I think the economics is going to make it evident on its own. But the biggest thing we can do is help people from not making the same mistakes I know I made in the altcoin market. I'm sure other people have too. So that's where the pavement meets, and it takes a whole new way of thinking too. For example, I did a conference, a Working Man's Bitcoin Cruise. Only reason I made money on it is because I offered it for Bitcoin when Bitcoin was $3,500, and by the time I hodled it, and I actually broke even, made a little on the cruise because it had gone up to over 10,000.
Yeah.
In the same way with my subscriptions, in December I actually offered Black Friday half price subscriptions, which was just a bargain, lifetime, my life, not yours, but lifetime subscriptions for half price. Which is like $300 for as long as I live. Okay, and people are saying, well, that's crazy, but it worked because I'm hodling it. Okay, for one time in my life, I'm giving it away, and my members could promote it, and they get a small little affiliate. These are the things that are going to be happening, and it's going to come in increments. But when people get it, it's a different way of thinking. Why does somebody cut their price just to get Bitcoin? Well, it took long-term thinking. It took just a different way of thinking.
That's I've always said, if somebody owes you money, just say, hey, dude, if you owe me $100, give me $50 in Bitcoin, because in the long term, that will pay off. So no, seriously. So let's wait. That's
what I did.
We mentioned altcoins there for a second. Phil is a man who knows all the news here. I look at the whole picture of the cryptocurrency space. I just don't look at Bitcoin because I want to see, just everything that's going on. And clearly this DeFi thing is the flavor of the year. People are talking Ethereum, and maybe it'll bring big money into the space. But one thing that has been going on lately, they're having arguments, and there might be like a split. Do you know about this, Phil? What's going on over there?
I heard that they were arguing about, I believe it's the proof of work algorithm again. Yes. It's hard for me to comment on this. I would say I kind of defer to my colleague Parker Lewis. He said the true DeFi is definancialization, and that's what Bitcoin is going to help us with. It's going to move the world, shift the world away from the increasing financialization of everything. We're not going to be tokenizing each other. We're just going to be, using a strong currency to be able to cooperate and build interesting things. So the hard fork that Ethereum is going through, I mean, I kind of see this happening again and again and again in perpetuity until all these altcoins just kind of cannibalize themselves. So I don't think it's anything that's specifically unique to them. I think what they're realizing is the power of running a full node and their own personal inability to do so.
All right, Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I don't keep up on Ethereum news, but I did take a look at this when you sent me the link, and yeah, it's from what I can gather, it's potentially causing a chain split because they want to move to this proof of work algorithm that is anti-ASIC, right? That they think that they're afraid of mining centralization, and they want to be able to use GPUs again so that more people can mine and decentralize the mining, right? Fine, I get that, but yeah, this is all a debate about a platform that is not. I'm sorry, it's just not meaningful, right? It's like. It's not money, okay? It's not money. It's there's no monetary policy. It gets changed all the time. There's all these promises. Nothing ever gets done. Compare that to Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's got all the network effects, the best developers, far more hodlers, and it's actually money, right? It's actually a monetary good, and the best monetary policy. It's not going anywhere. And the way we develop is really slowly and carefully. The way you should develop when you're writing code that affects a giant, $170 billion market cap monetary good, right? It's like writing code for a nuclear power plant. And so this is like, that's like a game. It's like a, live action role playing going on over there. And, Bitcoin's actually building something real and that matters. So that's why I don't really even pay attention to it very much. I think it's a fight about, it's a role-playing fight.
All right. Well, we're Ugly. We're not going to ask you about Ethereum because we already know what your thoughts are, and that Bitcoin is the standard. So we won't repeat all that. So I want to move on because there's only we leave little time.
Can I just add one more thing?
Oh yeah, please.
So to Brady's point, Brady said that Ethereum isn't money. I'd actually take the opposite side of that argument and say Ethereum is money. It's just terrible money. Nobody wants to hold this money. It has no monetary properties. You can't predict where it's going to go. But that's the problem with all of these altcoins. There's no such thing as a utility token. There's no such thing as a smart contract platform. They're all money. They're just bad currencies. Bitcoin is good money.
Yes, and that has been the theme of the show today, I must say. Pound that like button. Check all these guys are linked to below their Twitters. Follow them. They don't all wear goat masks, but when they do, they're on the show. Now,
I was gonna say that Phil was talking about this being a grassroots thing, right? Being bottom up, and I was thinking, what other industry could you be on a news show about that industry with a dude in a goat mask and not think it's weird at all? Not even blink twice.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally normal to have a guy with a goat mask in this industry. We're redefining stuff here. Fitting in is overrated. If you're in Bitcoin. If you really value your wealth in Bitcoin, you don't need to fit into anything. You're in the Bitcoin overlay. You do your own thing. Clearly, Ugly is he's in the Bitcoin overlay. He's doing his own thing. I mean, I met him in person. I got to see it.
And you guys are all my friends because my friends call me by my first name, and everybody has trouble with that. They call me Mr. Goat, and I said, no, my friends call me by my first name, and they stutter, and then, oh, you mean Ugly? Yes, you call me Ugly, and I'll respond.
Yeah, it's quite a world we're living in. Well, Ugly, I do have a question for you about a guy who's not so ugly. He used to be lovely. Steven Seagal. He got in trouble for promoting an ICO. They made an example of him this week. The SEC did. It's linked to below. It was big news. Do you have thoughts about the SEC making an example of a guy like this, a famous guy? I actually think it's good for Bitcoin because people are like, what? Steven Seagal got in trouble for what is this? what's he doing? Currency,
Well,
Bitcoin?
he's just the face of it. That's not
Yeah.
what Root is. So that's kind of, they're going after the low hanging fruit.
He's low, prominent low hanging fruit, I think.
Well, but not the ones that. I mean, the reason they're not going after the big boys is because the big boys have basically are well financed to defend themselves, that's the unfortunate thing, and that's what's so scammy about all this. My mentor is E.C. Harwood, and he outlined very clearly in his book, The Money Mirage, which you guys should all read if you hadn't, written way back in the 70s. But he said the three greatest inflation frauds of all time is, number one, inflation. Number two is Social Security. And the third one is the SEC.
There you go.
Really need to read it, because that one surprised you. But he says because it gives people this false sense of security, like they're really doing something, and they're really not. So I consider the SEC a much larger fraud than Ethereum. The fact that Ethereum still exists shows that what a fraud the SEC is.
Whoa, we're taking it to the next level. Hey, I'm no fan of regulation at all. So I'm no fan of the SEC. I just wanted to point that out. I think people familiar with the show know that. All right, well, let's move on. Talking about inflation real quick. I want to get everybody's thoughts because I haven't asked you guys this yet, because two of you are new to the show anyway, about the halving. We'll start with Brady. Your thoughts. Is it priced in? Do you have anything you want to say about it, because it's coming up? I don't know if you'll be back. Well, yeah, maybe you'll be back before then. I have like a 10-week rotation. So Brady, what do you think?
I'll be happy to come back, man. Been having fun here. I think I'm on team not priced in for the halving, because I think that it's, people know about Bitcoin, right? They've heard the word Bitcoin, like Phil was getting out earlier, but no one understands it really. Very few people really understand it in the finance industry too. That's the case. Now, in going forward, we have the stock to flow model. Plan B is popularized. It's still relatively new. I don't know if that's believed, I guess. I wonder if people think that that's just going to fail at some point, and they want to see kind of one more cycle prove it out. I think if we get through this halving and another bull run comes, like we all hope it will, and we get to Bitcoin gets to like $1 trillion market cap, then there's no one in the financial industry that's gonna look this thing over. And in the next halving, you better believe it's gonna be priced in by then. I'm pretty sure.
All right, $1 trillion market cap dreams. We've talked about that here before. I do. What do you think of the quote? 21 million is non-negotiable.
Yeah,
Brady. Yeah, that's
absolutely non-negotiable.
Yeah. Okay, good. Just one. I wanted to add that in there because that quote was going around this week. I love that quote. I do think that someone will try to fork off a version that's the next FUD attack. I believe is the
I think it's inflation and privacy are the two that are going to come next.
Yeah, that's actually a good question for Phil here. I think you've talked about the halving before, but what do you think is the next? What do you think of 21 million is non-negotiable, and what do you think the next major Bcash type of fork attack will be? Will it be inflation or privacy?
Well, I might be on a bit of an extreme here, but not only is the 21 million non-negotiable, I believe that literally all 21 million Bitcoin already exists today. So I wrote an article about that a few months ago, but the reason that all 21 million already exist is because if that supply is ever changed, it's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 21 million. And so since we know the monetary policy and we have the ability to run our own nodes and validate that monetary policy that we've all chosen to opt into is accurate, then if anyone tries to change it, just like what happened with Bcash and all the other forks, there's like 100 different copies of Bitcoin. If somebody tries to change that monetary policy, my node won't follow it. And instead, what I'll do is I will immediately sell whatever coins are given to me. So we've already seen this happen so many different times. And I guess it'll happen again. And I think that I'm kind of excited about it because, like I said, it just is like a Bitcoin dividend to me.
Yeah.
My stats more because, all right, you're gonna change the supply. Good luck. I'm gonna sell it.
Crypto dividends. Pound that like
There-
button, dude.
There was this question, and it was like, what if this technically went through as like a valid change? And I just responded with like 4 graphs from different altcoins that have tried to change the supply of Bitcoin. And the answer to that question is pure economics. And the answer to the question is, I'm going to sell it immediately. So you can't change the supply. Like, you can try. Good luck. Give me some more stats.
Let's. I know a lot has just been said here. So Ugly, your thoughts on the halving being priced in or not, and everything that was just said. You might have something to say about.
All right. The inflation rate is a canard invented by the crypto world. Bitcoin doesn't have any inflation. There's 21 million of them, and we know that it's just delayed. They have to create a Bitcoin inflation rate so that they can market their crap coins. And so it is a very big misnomer. And it's one of those things like Bitcoin maximalists that they come up with the terms. And if we accept those terms, then we are providing them the narrative. We can't let them have that narrative. Bitcoin is not only does it have that stock and flow ratio, but there's a fixed amount. They're just not all out there yet. So to me, the halving is irrelevant.
All right, that is a good attitude to have, and those are some great thoughts there. That the 21 million, it's an interesting way of thinking about it. That both of you mentioned that too. Okay, so let's. We're at the end of the show. That's awesome. I want to hear everybody's conclusionary remarks. They can promote anything, talk about a story that was left out. We'll start with Ugly Old Goat.
Well, I keep my teachings very simple, and I teach it so anyone can understand. And that's HODL, which we know what that is. It's save, which is a bastardization of the word savvy, and build. So we HODL, we say that when we're doing well HODLing, we want to take your wife out to dinner, splurge a little bit, and live. We are all alive, and we need to enjoy life. And the third thing we do is build it. So what I do is keep this in my mind. I go HODL, 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 save, build, sound money.
You said you were going to do the dance. He did the dance. Pound that like button.
But you guys all have to do your closing comments, and then the way we have to end the show, we all have to do this dance. I mean, am I saying truth or not?
Dude,
right?
you dance a fine jig there, man. You're all right. Check out Ugly Old Goat. He is linked to below. Quite the character. Dude, I'm so happy I got to meet you in person and that you made it to the show that fast. You're in motion. I meet you on Saturday. You're on the show by Friday. Just a week, less than a week, baby. Less than a week. All right, let's get Brady in here. What are your conclusionary thoughts? Anything you want to mention? Anything you got left out? Promote what you're doing. It doesn't matter. Take it away.
All right. Yeah, Citizen Bitcoin podcast, citizenbitcoin.world. Just search Citizen Bitcoin in your podcast app. I've also been working on an open source project called bitcoiners.best. You can vote up the best Bitcoin content. It's a Lightning app as well, so you can 1x your vote for free, 10x your vote for a Lightning payment of 10K sats. All the sats are donated to open source projects. Just launched that last week, education project. Swan Bitcoin, of course, which you talked about. And I just want to say, if you're here, you're listening to this, I think you're doing something important. You're educating yourself and others about Bitcoin, being a part of this revolution. I think when you look back 20 or 30 years from now, you're going to be, have a very deep sense of satisfaction that you did something real and important by being here and spreading the good word about Bitcoin. So thanks for being here.
Long-term thinking, guys. Pound that like button. And hey, man, you rock today. Welcome. Both you guys hadn't been on the show before. It's been a pleasure to have you both here. You're awesome. We got a real good combo here today. Well, let's go to our veteran. He's been on the show a few times. Phil, what are your conclusionary thoughts? We'll let you end the show.
Well, thanks once again for having me on. It's always a blast, man. We're doing some big things at Unchained Capital. I don't know if you guys have heard of this little event called South by Southwest. Well, let me just put you in the mindset. You've just listened to a 45-minute panel with DentaCoin. You know, putting Bitcoin on the blockchain for dentists. Your eyes are foggy. You're walking around downtown Austin, and as the fog clears, you see some sort of building. Wait, is it a building? I don't know. Nay, it's a citadel. That's right, guys. We are hosting the Austin Bitcoin Citadel during South by Southwest at Unchained Capital. So if you guys are in town, come by. We're going to have a bunch of events all throughout the week, and announcements on social media are pretty imminent. So hoping to see everyone there.
And,
Nice.
and what are the days? What are the days?
The days, so the events are March 18th through 20th. The whole week we'll have like one-on-one consulting and OPSEC stuff. If you guys want to get set up with multi-sig and collaborative custody, we'll have all that stuff on the page when we launch it pretty imminently. It should be right after this call. I have some inside sources.
All right, you're getting the insider info here. All right, dudes, what a great show we had this week, everybody. Okay, remember, we do this show every Friday. Who knows what time it comes on, but it does come on every Friday. I do a new show here every day on the Bitcoin Meister channel. Yeah, I got the conviction. I got the long-term thinking. Yeah, people, it was a panic week, but you guys had strong hands. We'll have other weeks like this in the future. We'll have amazing weeks in the future too. Get used to it. It's a wild roller coaster. It is a great time to be alive during this golden age of the 2020s, baby. Thanks a lot, guest. I'm Adam Meister, Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share this video, check out the links below. Shabbat shalom. See ya, guys. We'll see ya. Bye-bye. Thank you. See ya. Out of here. All right.